You're going overhanded, right? You're doing like the scoop, kind of like you scoop in the water. I read that
Oh
somewhere.
yeah, pumpkin ice cream. I like pumpkin ice cream, so that's perfect.
Hello. So, we love running, right? I mean, you probably wouldn't be here if you didn't. But anyway, in addition to liking to run, I'm sure you love lots of other things. For example, I also, in addition to loving to run, I love cats, as you can see behind me. I have portraits of my cats that I had commissioned. I also love Star Wars. I love coffee. I'm a driver. One of the other things that I love is getting to learn about things that I don't necessarily know much about from people who love those things. Nothing excites me more than talking to somebody who is really passionate about something and really enjoys something, and learning about something new from that person. So I wanted to try to find ways to put running and that idea together, but I also know that there's lots of really good running related content out there already. YouTube channels, podcasts, social media feeds that are just full of really good running specific related content. So I thought maybe I would take my idea a step further and have people come on the channel and talk about running, and that's it. That's the name of the show, Running And. So each week I'm going to invite, maybe each week, maybe every other week, maybe a month. I don't know. I haven't figured out the cadence yet, but I'm going to invite my friends from the running community onto the show, and we're going to talk about running and whatever it is that makes them happy. Activism, being a parent, airplanes, cats, whatever. And in between those chats, I'm going to be making some videos that incorporate my own ends into the mix, where I'm going to talk about stuff that I like and hopefully maybe give you some ideas about things that you might like or want to learn about or talk about or share with somebody else in your life. So this week I'm kicking it off with my good friend Hollie, who you might know as Fueled by Lols on all of the social medias. And we're going to be talking about running and swimming, which is something that has interested me. I've done some sprint triathlons in the past, but never really, I think, to the best of my ability. So this is going to be an exciting chat, hopefully not just for me, but for you guys as well. So let's just jump right into it. How are you? I haven't seen you in so long.
I know. What was our last diner date? It was like forever ago.
It was like January, I think.
Yeah, I feel like you were one of the last people I saw in person.
Yeah, because it was after the holidays. Yeah, I think it was. Oh my God. It feels like it was like 8 years ago though.
Yeah.
I can't. We can talk about running. Obviously, I want to hear about all of the different things, in your running world. But then I also want to kind of get, insight into, how you found swimming, what you like about it. And honestly, if I'm being real, because I have tried swimming and I feel like every time I do it wrong. And so I selfishly am going to try to learn something today by asking you all of my burning questions about swimming that I've always had, but never had the guts to ask anybody. So
I don't know if you know this, but I taught swimming lessons and I coached swimming for like a decade. And I taught like babies. I did the mom and me class where you like bounce around with the babies. And then I taught like an 80-year-old lady how to swim. So I taught it all. Like, you can ask me anything about swimming. I probably heard it.
I wish I'd known this before you moved over to the West Coast, because I totally would have made you teach me how to swim properly.
Oh, that would have been so fun too.
I was so tired of seeing the sullen teenagers, like the lifeguards in the YMCA. Every time I showed up, they're like, oh God, here she is again. And I'm like, listen, I'm just trying to get by, okay? So let's get started and talk a little bit about running, because this is called Running And, after all. So we'll start off with a little bit of running. What got you started with running?
So I actually swam for probably 15 years before I ran. And I swam through high school and I swam through 3 out of 4 years of college. By by my senior year of college, like I was I was just burnt out. Like there's only so much like staring at the bottom of the pool you could do. And I was truly just burnt out. I was like, swimming in college is like a whole different level. And we were D3. So it's not like we were a good team, but like I was swimming 2 to 4 hours a day. And
Wow.
like that's a lot. And I just got really burnt out. And I was going through kind of like a stressful part of my life. I ended a very long term relationship in college. I decided to completely change my majors senior year of college. And I was like, what else can I do? Let me just go crazy. Um, so I started like, it wasn't even that I was like, I'm just going to go out for a run. I just like, I started running and I enjoyed it. Like, and when I was in high school, I was terrible at running. And I mean that like, I mean, a lot of people nowadays say they were terrible at running. Like passing the mile in high school was a 12:30 mile. And I would hustle to get like a 12:12. 12:12 was my PR in the mile. And I did it. And I remember one time I like told my gym teacher, I only ran 3 laps. And I was like, oh yeah, totally. Like I just ran this like 8:30 mile. Like I've really improved. And I truly like tried to convince him that I had like improved over the course of one day. Never mind, he was the cross country coach. It's fine.
You know,
Um,
definitely
but
knew.
I was not good. And then I don't know, I just started enjoying running. Like it was just like not stressful the way swimming had been because I could do my own thing. Like I wasn't like going to a running practice. I was just running to run.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of how I started. And that was like, I don't know, 10 years ago now.
Okay. So then, I mean, you kind of touched on it, but what does running really give you? What did you find in running that you can't really find anywhere else?
It's just not stressful. Like, of course, there's like you have a bad race. That's kind of stressful. You like think about workouts, like that can be stressful, but like you just go out and it's you and you're running and like it's just a relaxing thing for me, I think. I don't think running is therapy. I think therapy is therapy. I'm very strong about that.
Yes.
But I think it's just a relaxing thing that I can do. It's me, it's my time, like no one's trying to bother me.
Yeah, oh, that's great. So, like, then how's your approach to running, like how you kind of like treat it? Obviously, like it was like that from the beginning, but has your approach changed over the 10 years or so you've been running?
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, so one thing that there's a lot of run or swimmers that like get into running. Um, but one thing that like it was a very hard lesson for me is like for swimming, you literally are swimming 2 to 4 hours a day in college to get better. And that's like not exaggerating.
Wow.
You cannot do that with running. Like you can't just go out for a 2 hour run every single day.
No.
Um, especially as a new runner. You did, and I didn't know that. And like also with swimming, you're doing like intervals every single day
Wow.
when you're up at that level.
Yeah.
So like you might do like 10 200s and like you don't run 400-meter repeats every day. Like your body doesn't handle that. And not that I was doing that, but like it took me a long time to kind of realize like you must run like 80% of your runs very easy or you will hurt yourself.
Mhm.
Which I did. I hurt myself a few times in my early 20s. But my approach now, I'm just, you know, if I miss a day of running, I don't stress about it. I didn't run yesterday and I was planning on running yesterday. I woke up and I was tired and I was just not in the mood and I was like, all right, well, I'm just not going to run. Okay. Moved on with my life and I ran today and I'm fine. Like
Yeah.
5, 10 years ago, I would have been stressed about it. I would be thinking about it like 2 weeks from now, like, did that skipping a run miss my, like, did it ruin my workouts? And
Mhm.
like, am I less fit now? Now I'm just like, all right, that's what it was. All right, move on.
Yeah. No, that's a healthier way to look at it, though, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So then, that's the, what you like about it. And you've definitely, your approach has kind of matured, obviously. But what do you find is the most difficult part of running?
I feel like it's sometimes, so I honestly, for me, it's really pushing myself by myself. Does that make sense? Like, especially
Yeah.
during the pandemic, like I am a serial racer. I love racing. If I could
That
race
was my
every
next
day,
question, was about racing, but I completely get it. Yeah. Like without that goal, like you need to have like a goal or something to kind of strive for. At least that's what I've kind of had.
oh yeah.
So in that vein, we haven't raced in about a year now, but when we all used to gather in big groups and be around each other, what was your all-time favorite race experience, would you say?
Oh gosh, it's so hard because I've done
It's
like
like asking like which one of your cats you love the most. Like I know it's so hard. Everything has its own thing. There could be many. That's fine.
so the race I've done the most times, we'll start there in
Okay.
a row, is the Shamrock Half in Virginia Beach. And they are awesome. It's a great race experience. I grew up in that general area. I know the race directors, Jerry and Amy, very well. It's always awesome. It's based around like, St. Patrick's Day, it's around March. Um, some people like it, they have Yingling at the end or some sort of beer. It's just a fun experience. I might be biased because like I get to see all my friends I grew up with, but I think it's just so much fun. um, in New Jersey, i just I loved the Atlantic City half marathon series. Like I think it's so underrated
Mm.
for a few reasons. First, like Atlantic City casinos have so much parking. Like you don't have to worry about parking.
You're right, they do.
Um,
They really do.
and then second, like before, and I just think the races are well put together. We should include that, of course.
Yes, yeah.
Um, but the one thing that I just love that I feel like is so underrated, no one talks about it, is that when you go to the Atlantic City races, you always get some sort of show before the race because people are in the casino at like 6 a.m. or 7
Yeah.
a.m.
Oh
doing their
yes.
casino thing. And then there's all these runners coming. I just really enjoy the Atlantic City races down the shore, like the most of any shore race. And then I'll like round it out with a Philly race because I was so close to Philly. Broad Street. Don't do any race in Philly except for Broad Street.
Yeah.
It's the best one. It's just fun. The environment is awesome. Like I just think it's such a great race. That's probably like one of my favorite just races.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, so you actually, another thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of running, you just recently wrote an ebook about running shoes. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, who doesn't need pandemic projects, of course. Um, as I've now, well, I don't work the floor of Running Co anymore, but I worked in running specialty. I actually do some of their social media still.
Nice.
But I worked in run specialty for 7 years. And a lot of the questions I get asked are usually about the same. Like, what does this shoe do? Like, what's stability versus neutral? Blah, blah, blah. Like, they all fall under like pretty similar categories. And I get a lot of emails a week about shoes, probably like 20 to 30. And that's not
So,
exaggerating. And it was getting to be very exhausting answering this and kind of like sometimes it was a little bit heartbreaking because I would write this long response and then there would be no response. And I'd be
mhm.
like, okay. So then I decided to write an ebook, just like I'd get out of my comfort zone again, like you are. And I think it came out pretty well. Like I'm really happy with it. It answers most of the questions and shoes are always evolving. The shoes that we use now are not the same as 2016. Carbon plates basically rule the world. Um, but the shoes are always changing. So I thought it would be kind of a fun thing to write.
So then when it comes to somebody wants to try running and wants to pick it up for the first time, what's one piece of advice you would give a new runner?
Your easy runs are the most important thing you do. Um, you could run easy for years and still improve. You don't need to sprint. It's not enjoyable if you're sprinting like every run and out of breath. Like no one enjoys being out of breath for an entire run. That's terrible.
No.
The easier you go, the more that you will improve, especially when you're a new runner. People don't think like they can be a runner if they walk run. Of course you can. Like
I
you
do.
can be a runner if well, I have walk runners pass me all the time. People ran past me in the marathon. Like it's fine. Um so I would say just slow down.
So now that we've talked about running, it's time for the end part. So this is I'm excited because now I'm gonna like take my like ice cream scoops. Is that the
I tried to swim.
So now we'll talk about swimming. So running wasn't, we talked about this a little bit. Running wasn't your original sport. You started out swimming much longer before you started running. So how did you get into swimming?
So in middle school, I was a normal middle school kid. My parents both worked. I would come home after middle school. I would open up the cookies. I'd eat the cookies like a normal middle school kid, and I'd play Roller Coaster Tycoon or Zoo Tycoon for like hours before my parents came home. And finally, like my parents were like, we really just need to get Holly into some sort of sport because I was an overweight like middle schooler. And I was not coordinated to do many ball sports. When I was really young, I threw a tennis racket at a girl's head, so that was out of the cards. I
You were
picked
flagged.
flowers.
The tennis people were like, we don't want her.
No, thank you. Go home. And soccer, I just picked flowers instead of actually playing the game. So my parents were like, well, Holly likes swimming and she's like pretty good at it. We'll sign her up. And I mean, as like a kid in middle school, early high school, like I liked swimming. Like it was fine, but I would goof off. Like, I mean, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I am a swimmer now. Like I'm gonna go crazy at practice.
What
Like
middle schooler is though? Like middle schoolers, I don't know any middle schoolers with that kind of like focus.
oh, but I'd like enjoy it. And then like one day in high school, my coach, I think it was sophomore year maybe, threw me in the longest high school event, the 500, I think it was meters where we went to high school. I feel like it was maybe it was yards. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Threw me
It's
into
a
the
lot.
500, which is the longest for high school. And it was really because we had no one else to do it. And I'm like, oh, just put Ollie in there. And then I won. I won the race. And my coach was like, what just happened? And I was like, so it was like that moment that I like truly started enjoying swimming. Like, not that I wasn't enjoying it, but I was like, wow, I like to win races.
Yeah.
Like Holly win races. This is so cool. So I started like really getting into it. And then I didn't think I would swim in college. And I went to a D3 school. So like they don't recruit for swimming or any sport. But I didn't think I would swim. And then my roommate was a swimmer, which is weird because we didn't plan that. But then we decided to just join the swim team, and I swam 3 years. I met some of my closest friends that I talk to still, um, and it was awesome. But by like senior year, I was just so burnt out, and a lot of my friends by senior year had graduated, so like I felt like I was like the mother hen of these younger kids, and that wasn't a bad thing, but it was just like, you do things for the social aspect, and like I had other interests at the time, and so that's why I left swimming.
Yeah.
And I left swimming for a long time, like before 2019, maybe 18, no 19, I'm sorry. I only got in the pool like 5 times.
Mm.
Like I always wondered like how do runners just stop running? But then I realized that's exactly what I did with swimming. Like I did not get in the pool. I don't even enjoy like going for like leisurely swims anymore. Either I'm swimming laps or I am not there. Because I also lifeguarded and taught lessons. So now like I like lifeguard while I'm at the pool. I'm like, you kids stop running. But then I'm like, okay, no, Holly, keep to yourself. Like that's the lifeguard's duty, like not you.
So then what about swimming did you find you really loved the most?
It's different because it's definitely different now. In high school and college, like it was all I knew. Like my friend group swam, like it was just part of the routine. Now, like I love the part I like about swimming now is I almost exclusively swim easy. Like I don't get my heart rate very high. Like I just stick my face in the water and literally don't worry about anything else because like you can't hear anything else in the pool. Like no one's bothering you. You aren't getting text messages in the pool. Like now it's like my true peace because even I don't feel like I even get that with running. Like my brain is still like kind of stimulated when I'm running and like I run with my phone just because I like music or whatever.
Mhm.
And safety obviously,
Yeah.
but like I just feel like with swimming like it's true like you time. It's you staring at the bottom of the pool in your own head. Like
Yeah.
and that's what I like now, but like when I was growing up like it was like just what I knew.
Yeah. Okay. So then now is the part where I get to be a little bit of selfish and I get to like ask specific techniques and tips. You're going overhanded, right? And you're doing like the scoop kind of like you scoop in the water. I read that
Oh
somewhere.
yeah, pumpkin. Ice cream. I like pumpkin ice cream, so that's perfect.
I love it.
Um ice cream scoops. Like you
Yeah.
want your hands like your fingers as close together as possible because you can grab the water.
Yes.
Um
Yes. I saw that in a YouTube video. Like, and I was like, okay, good. At least I'm doing ice cream scoop.
oh yeah.
So then you're scooping, you're ice cream scooping. How do you breathe?
So how do you breathe? How about that? Do you normally have your face out of the water or in the water?
In, but then I would like kind of like look up, like as I'm turning, like every maybe third, I would tilt up to breathe, and then
Oh
I would
yeah.
go back under. Was that it? Is that
Oh
like
yeah, that's fine. I tell people like it takes forever to practice and perfect what works for you. Like you'll see videos to breathe every other side, but like honestly, if you're doing well on one side, it's fine.
okay,
Just you want to be as relaxed as possible. And if your left side is much more relaxed than your right side, it's fine.
okay,
Um, but you want to breathe like, let's see how this goes.
all right, here we go. Some hands on.
Okay, so you want to like, you bring your hand like this and your hands all the way forward.
Okay. There we go, sideways.
It's
Okay.
all in now. It's my first swim lesson in like a decade.
Hey.
When your head you want so you're swimming and you want your head to be just like if I gave you any swimming advice, it's tuck your chin way in here because
Hmm.
it's just going to make you more efficient in the water. The
Okay.
flatter your head is, the less water is like going
Okay.
like this and it just makes it easier.
Makes sense.
Um, so you're swimming and you want to take that breath and
Okay.
your arm should be like almost like this and
Okay.
you're just gonna breathe and then as your hand is like coming back up you're gonna put your head back in so it's almost like it's like a
It's
lever.
going with it.
It's like going in and then
Like you're following your hand with your head, with your eyes.
exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of people try and like lift up like this but you don't
Um,
have to like you
okay.
can just kind of go like this.
Okay.
um,
You've said that after your first really major running related injury back in like 2012, I think it was. I was just rereading your blog the other day, where I think like you had like the stress fracture, right?
oh my tibia, yeah.
Yes. So you wrote a blog about it, talking about how that taught you never to base your happiness on one sport or a single element of your life. And I thought that was really an interesting way of looking at things. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Oh yeah. When I broke my tibia, it was completely from poor training. I was a new runner, broke it because I didn't know anything about running. And when running was like taken away from me, oh, granted, I was young, I was 21. Um, I thought like this was it. Like my life is over. Like, yeah, I don't have anything to do now. Um, and I kind of realized like after that, like I need other hobbies and like just things I enjoy. Like I don't have to be like all in all those hobbies, but I need to have things that like I enjoy and I enjoy doing as well. Maybe not as much as running, but like I just enjoy them. Um, so throughout the years, I've always like kind of tried to find different things. And like in New Jersey, I enjoy going to diners. That was fun. And I still do in California. But like, I just think it's so important to like have multiple avenues of just like happiness, whether that's your cats, whether that's something no one understands. Like maybe you're like, today I'm just going to start knitting. Like I know nothing about knitting, but this is my new thing. Cool. Like if that's what you like to do, that's awesome. But I think it's really healthy because like you never know like if you're going to do whatever you're doing for the rest of your life. Like you don't know that.
That's awesome. Oh my, you basically just like summed up the reason that I wanted to do this whole series and bring people onto a show like this and kind of share that, because it is so important that we have other things that we do, because our bodies are only going to last, so long. Our
Oh yeah.
interests are only going to last so long in any given thing. And like we talked about before, where like if you do happen to just lose interest in something, if it's not bringing you joy anymore, there's really no reason. You shouldn't feel like you need to continue doing it just because you're known as that person. Having other things to kind of fill your time and that make you happy is so important.
Oh yeah. And like I'm just gonna add in diners because I can. Like when I started my blog a decade ago, I didn't know anything about diners. Like until I moved to New Jersey, I didn't know anything about diners. And then one day I was like, running blog. And now I go to diners because I like it. And people are like, why do you do that? And I'm like, because I like it. That's my reason. And that's all you need to know.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just really important to be able to find happiness. I feel like that's the key, but whether it's running or whatever else that we're
Mhm.
talking about that anybody is interested in, as long as it makes you happy, that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, because there's only so much we can control. And if we can control that, then we're in good shape.
Oh, totally.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you for inviting me.
And hopefully, yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll have you come back on and we'll talk about diners, and I mean cake as well, because I know you and I could probably talk about cake for another hour as well.
Oh, cake and diners, like that could be a whole like series, cake
We
and
could do our own.
diners.
Oh, see, now I got the wheels turning. Okay, I'm gonna have to write everything down. Excellent.